Let's
Bro,
do it.
So many angles.
I know. This is like a full fucking...
This is my good shit right here.
All right. It's the return of Behind the Blog. It's a series I've done, probably 4 or 5 of them now. And every time, it's very well received. People are very interested to hear about the life and the story of what goes on behind the blog. And I've been waiting to bring it back and try to choose wisely. And it's the rub with Behind the Blog is there's obviously a finite amount of people. And so I got to kind of pick wisely. And obviously there's some major players who people want to hear from. And I want to, I just want to pick wisely when I do this. And I wasn't sure who to bring it back with. And then I got my first taste of Hard Factor Pat.
Hey, buddy.
And I was like, I'm not kidding. You captivated me, dude.
Hey, man.
And I really was trying to think of should I go with somebody new? Should I go with something old school? Young, old, big, small, whatever. And then you came to New York for, I think, the first time, right? It's your first
well, thank you for noticing. This is my fourth time.
Okay. Well, first time that I had done any content with you, and I was like, this motherfucker. You are the most interesting man in the world, dude.
It's not true, but you also put a lot of pressure on me. I'm glad Behind the Blog is back, but
yeah, no pressure. But the entire fate of the future of this franchise is just on your
Let's
shoulders.
have a fucking interesting conversation,
fucking
bro.
Do it, brother. No, but I mean it. We did Friday Night Pints together, and I caught a glimpse of you in action at Lowering the Bar, and I've been doing it a long time, and I've seen all sorts of different people come in here. And you got some sort of je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
You know it, though? You know it about yourself?
I don't know.
Can you tell?
I don't know. I mean, it's very nice to hear someone saying I have some sort of French word.
Do you know that you're a little more different and a little more, like I said, captivating? Like when you walk in a room, and I can tell the way you do Lowering the Bar, and you're a little bit of a showman, the way you were doing Friday Night Pints, the conversation just kind of gravitated towards you. You kind of took command of it. Can you tell that?
I don't know. I guess that's just how I do me.
Yeah.
But different. Like my high school class voted me. I got a superlative, which I was super stoked about, which is usually a good thing.
Yeah.
But it was most unique.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Which
So
is
yes.
I didn't know at the time.
Question
was a
answered.
total backhanded compliment.
I disagree.
100%, bro.
I mean,
no one voted most unique as getting laid at all whatsoever.
Okay. I will say this: in high school, yes, you don't want that backhanded. A little bit later in life, I think that is why you are here today and why you're doing what you do.
It was pretty much no one fuck this guy. Is what the superlative was.
I can one up you.
And that's okay. What was yours?
I won biggest heart.
Ooh, that's a friend zone situation.
Big time, brother.
That's a friend zone
Which
situation.
pretty much, I'll be honest, it was just because I was nice to fat people. I was just nice to people. I never bullied anybody, and I always kind of did go out of my way for if you were lonely, if you were Steven Glansberg, I would eat lunch with you.
Fat people are on yearbook.
Right. So. Yeah. So I basically just got in with the right
bro.
people.
You're a politician.
It is funny given, I once I got my blog game going and I was just spitting my actual opinions, I don't think anybody would really say that I have a big heart now. I think people were stunned to hear that.
I wouldn't say that. I would say okay, so it's my 4th time coming to New York. The reason we haven't interacted directly is because you're an intimidating cat.
Me?
100%. 100% you're an intimidating cat. Well, you
agree?
We're sitting in your room. We're sitting in the KFC room. So for those of you guys at home who don't know, can I look at the camera? There are 3. There's 2 official studios here. It's KFC and PMT, and that's it. And then the rest of us plebes share a common space. But no, man, your work that you've done at this company, your work blogging, your work doing what I am doing still to this day, which is wearing 2 hats, having 2 jobs. It's very, very much well known and respected. And yeah, bro, when I rolled up, I was like, fuck, I can't talk to that guy. I can't talk to Kevin, bro. His shoes are fucking cool.
This is why I do Behind the Blog, to get showered with some
When I first saw you, I was like, man. Because I'm strategically coming up, okay, and at the old office, it was the most intimidating thing on the fucking planet, because it was 2 floors of 300 people on one floor, 300 people on another floor, and the elevators just open directly in. So I show up day 1, and I open on the business floor, and it's bing, as you said, And then everyone like turns to look at you,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Who are these assholes?"
Right.
And like Dave didn't hire me,
Right.
and Erica didn't really hire me. So it was like,
Yeah.
"Why are these guys here?" And then I saw your shoes, and I was like, oh, "Man, I can relate to that guy about his shoes, bro." But you were like, you had an aura, you had a presence, a
you could
force
always,
field.
especially want to come and chop it up about sneakers.
I would have
Let's do
loved
it.
to have done that, man.
Yeah.
I wore my best sneakers on that trip.
Did you?
And I was trying to find the sneakerheads in the crowd, and then I was like, "Bro, Kevin's sneakerhead, okay." But then there was a couple of these like,
Yeah.
he's busy.
I mean, you can always. I try to put off the vibe of like, you know.
I know
come on
that
down.
now.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. That I know I've been here a long time, but I do believe that if it were today, if I had to like apply to Barstool and try to get a gig, I don't think I would.
Why do you say that?
Because I feel like now, what I do is I have been around long enough and I have enough, I'm like grandfathered in with enough fans who do just want to hear my thoughts on shit going on. That's all I do. I don't have a unique angle. It's just like, I hope that you appreciate like that I kind of spit the truth all the time. But if it were to be like, yo, stand out in a crowd of all these people applying, I don't know if I necessarily have that, where that's what I think you have. Whether it's literally physically your look or whatever it is. Like I said, in that conversation with Friday Night Pints, it was like people would ask a question and then they kind of turn to you. Or I would pose a topic and I would turn to you first, like you kick it off, you know?
I paid them. But okay, I take umbrage with that. I think that's bullshit, and here's why, dude. It's, in my opinion, my experience, it's not about like how much raw, pure talent you have, and everyone feels like a fucking imposter. Everyone feels like, why am I here? What am I doing? Why me? But the fact that you met talent, right, and taste with hard work is why you're here, and that's why you'd get a job today as well.
That I do. I will give myself that. I feel like, you know, I grind at this, and I feel like that's another thing that's in the new Barstool. You can tell there are some people who kind of get the gig, are happy to get some followers, and that's it, you know. And
How
then
do you
I
get
think
those?
Well, you know, that's also funny you say that, because it's like sometimes I think the people who do get the followers or the immediate recognition are kind of getting it for the wrong reason, or a little bit of a not as like tangible. And then there are some people who are doing real work who haven't quite gotten the notoriety yet, and I think those are usually the people who are really like doing some shit, talking some shit, you know?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So when you started at Barstool, what employee number were you? On the content side, I know there was a couple of
I think, so it was like Dave, obviously, and then there was guys like Rear Admiral and Jerry Thornton and a couple bloggers in Boston, side people. So including them and like Gaz, I'd probably be like 4, I think.
Right, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But so you came in at a time where you were like writing, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Like that was your gig.
Right.
You're gonna write, you're gonna blog, you're gonna put your thoughts out there through the written word. I feel like today, and this is something I've struggled with, it's like there's been a shift between like how I've learned how to express myself through like honed craft of like either writing or filmmaking or acting, and now it's about social media. And like I'm curious what your take is, because like when I got hired at Barstool, it was like, okay, now I need to be this person on social media and be throwing myself in everyone's face all the time.
Tough, yeah.
But not really for anything good. Like if I work on something, if I craft something that I'm proud of, I'm happy to share it with the fucking world.
Definitely.
But like I don't want to like wake up and like be like, hey, taking a shit. Did you take a shit today?
100%.
Let's take
I
a
know
shit
exactly what
together.
you mean. Yep.
Brought to you by
Yep.
Wet Wipes. You know, like I find that part so fucking awkward,
Nope.
and I find myself like maybe once a week being able to hit that confidence level where I'm like, okay, I know I'm supposed to do this, so I'm going to do this.
Yes.
But like the rest of the week, I'm like, dude, who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Why the fuck am I going to put my shit out there?
That is such a like an interesting. First of all, I'm going to answer your question, but to get back to what I was saying about you, the mere fact, the way that this is already going right now, where you just kind of like took command of it and like, here's what I want to talk about, and now I'm asking you questions. But that is kind of what I think is the little X factor that you have, the hard factor, that like you're not just gonna be Q&A, and I'm not just gonna
podcast every day, Monday through Friday. I'm sorry.
You know, you have like a confidence about it where you can like chop it up and talk, and so I think you're already proving my point there. Secondly, I feel like my to this day, my by far in my mind, my best trait is writing. My best skill is writing, and it's kind of a shame. Yeah, certainly not that. Nobody's here for the looks.
Not mine either.
But that hair, baby. I don't know. it sucks in my mind that it's the market and the industry went in a different direction of video and short form and social media, because I would love to just sit back and write blogs, because I think it's what I'm best at. It's what I get. I feel like the most like sense of accomplishment when I put out like a good blog, you know. But I saw where the industry was going, and I was like, and I do like sports radio. It's really video that kind of fucks me up, and I acknowledge that it's like not my best.
When you say video, how do you mean? Because I think the videos you guys do for your show are great, and like I think your 1 minute man shit's great, and like
1 minute man,
you're able to effectively communicate easily through the video medium. But what I see you doing most of all is like crafting something versus like being like I love Ellie Schnitt, she's awesome, but like she's like 22 years old, she's not at Barstool anymore, but like I used to watch her social media and be like, maybe when I was 22 I could be doing that. Like maybe
I think it's a how old are you?
I'm 35.
Yeah, me too. So I feel like it is a generational thing where it's like, in my mind, that being that person almost comes across, and I'm not speaking about Ellie, but like it's a little bit narcissistic. It's a little bit like cocky to think that you guys all want to hear about me at all times.
But it's the game.
It is the game. That's why it's like you got to
like power to Ellie for doing that shit, because it's the game.
And I think to her it comes naturally. For us, it's something you have to get over. The same way that I had to be like, I would love to write, but I have to do some video now. And I think I'm a little bit awkward on video, but I'm going to just keep powering through it to the point that I at least get competent, or we can put out some videos. But it's something I have to get over. Same thing with social media. Like I love tweeting about shit going on.
But that's very different. Tweeting is a mini blog.
Instagram fucks with me, where it's like selfies and just pictures of me and what I'm doing. It's like nobody cares, but they do. And that's why we do this here. People are going to sit down and watch an hour plus just to find out about you. So of course they'll look at a picture or want to know where you're going or what you're eating, or if you're taking a shit.
They're going to be disappointed. But I should literally start an Instagram account called Unposted Selfies, because like I woke up this morning, right? So like we're
you know about that game.
We're taping this on debate night, right? So it's like Joe Biden and Donald Trump are debating. So whenever this comes out, but that was the night they were debating. So like, you know, man, I have this dope American flag shirt that I purchased for America, you know, for like days like America, like 4th of July, Labor Day, my birthday. And I strapped it on, and you know, I have this fucking ridiculous hair. And I was like, is my Super Bowl, man? Because I cover politics for Barstool, or at least, you know, news, not politics. But I like took a selfie, and I was like, I know that there's funny in this somewhere. I don't feel good about the joke that I've written about my copy of my photo. So I can't post it. But then I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is so stupid, man. This is so fucking stupid. And I feel like when I look at a guy like Dave Portnoy, like Dave's our age, he's a little older, and the reason Dave can do it is because like he's a focused ass businessman. So it's like for Dave, I don't think it's so much personality. I think it's like he's got to fucking promote the company.
And he's like, this, like, I don't care what I feel about this. I know they're gonna like it. It's gonna work. So I have to do it.
That's why Dave's Dave, because he's a fucking rocket. He's just moving forward. But like, I feel like our generation is like, I just feel like such a chode, like a total fucking chode.
The lack of self-confidence.
But dude, like once every 2 weeks, I'm like, I got something funny. I'll be watching like the Westminster Dog Show, and I'll like take my shirt off, and like I'll be like taking real detailed notes, and I was like, this is funny. Like usually while I'm high, but like for me to give it every day, it's tough. I can't do it.
But what's funny to me, it's almost like it's like body dysmorphia for your personality. Is there something personality dysmorphia? Does that exist? Because when I look at you, I think it's preposterous that you would ever be like nervous about it.
Oh, stop
But even like let me ask you this. So, have you always had like this look? Or were you ever just like a clean-cut, normal-looking cat?
No, man, I've always fucked with my look. Because like
so right off the bat, you are. Again, I remember Scott Van Pelt once talked about how what we do is it's like, it is narcissistic, but not in like a negative way. It's not like me, I'm arrogant. It's like, but you are kind of thinking about how will the world react to me? And the fact that you're already fucking with your look, and you got this mullet and the hair and the beard, and you're rocking this shirt with this like Zulu warrior, there's already an element.
It's an 82 Levi's, Kevin. It's an 82 Levi's. It's Etsy. It's vintage. No, you don't have to apologize. I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting the listeners know.
Yeah, like let me know. I would love one too, so I gotta go find this 82 Levi's. But
you want to be twinsies? I'll twins up with you, bro.
Again, you know, I'd be honored. But there is already an element of like, you are either conscious or subconscious, or naturally or unnaturally, like kind of putting out this vibe.
Because fuck the world. Yeah, dude, of course.
I guess that's the reason why. You're not doing it for the audience. You're doing it because, like, fuck it. I want to do it.
Yeah, fuck it, because it's fun. Because fucking making people think twice, look at things differently, feel awkward. It's fun. It's fun. It's fucking awesome. It's how art happens.
Right.
But my point is like I'm not sitting there being like, oh, I'm a fucking ugly piece of shit. Why would I post a selfie? I'm more like, I got in this to make people laugh. Like that's my goal, right? And like I don't feel funny today, but
you can't ever not be on.
But for me to have my career today, I have to have a certain amount of followers, right? So that I can get a TV deal where they're like, because that's how people are booking shit in the entertainment industry now. It's not talent based. I was listening to
audience to bring it, right?
100%, bro. Like I worked in the music business for the last 15 years, and like I finally in the last 3 years got in the major label game after a long time in the indie music business game. And they don't sign on talent anymore. It's like literally how many followers you have. And I was listening to Mark Maron talk.
Dangerous game to play, man.
Talk to, I forget who, but they were talking about how like the business of creatives have changed completely. Where back in the day, like you were judged on your merit and your talent, like the thing that you created or you crafted. And today it's like, I wish every day that I was a hot chick on Instagram. Like I sit there and I just like think really hard and it just doesn't happen.
Can I manifest this?
Because bro, if I was a hot chick on Instagram, do you know how much cash I would have? And I could parlay that into like my book or my show or whatever.
If you do have the talent to go along with that, by the way, then it's like, right. Because you get your foot in the door for the obvious reasons, and then if you can write the book and make the song and all that.
But I'm like a middle-aged ugly guy on Instagram, you know? So it's like, why?
It's very hard. But
so how did you deal with that though? Like, because you came up blogging, right? At a time where the IG wasn't a thing, like Twitter video, who gives a fuck back then?
Right.
You were just like, hey man, I got stuff to say.
Here are my thoughts.
I got stuff to say, and I studied and I paid attention, and I like got this info, and I know this sports team, and I know this comedian, and I know this musician,
right.
And I've crafted a voice, and I'm willing to use that voice.
Yep. But again, it's all timing for me because like. Actually, this is perfect. Like the way that the look you're putting out versus like just being normal. I think I came up in a time where you almost had to read a blog because there wasn't much social media, there wasn't much video to watch yet. So it's like I'm going to sit and read. And when you read, to me, I can convey myself, my personality, my thoughts, my opinions, and my worldviews much better in a written blog. And I think people got to know me and got to know like my whole vibe is just to like be normal. And then I think as the world kind of went crazy,
branding.
I was the dude like
you guys see that fucking sly ass drop. That was a sly ass drop.
I'm a pro, man.
Yeah, that was good. Bro.
No, but I think it was
hashtag be normal. Hashtag Barstool Sports store. $29.99. It ships today.
I think there was something about. Just connecting. I mean, I always say I am just medium in life.
But that's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. Because you've been to bachelor parties. You know what it's like. Like, when you go to bachelor parties and you do anything different, and this starts to happen when you get out of high school. Like, you get out of high school, you go to college. You meet your college friends. Maybe it's more like when you get out of college. Like, people choose their paths. And there's the conservative cats that are like, I'm going to be an accountant. I'm going to be a lawyer. I got a buddy I went to high school with who literally, we know how much money's in his bank account because a buddy of ours used to work at Wells Fargo. But it's millions and millions and millions of dollars that he earned as an investment banker. And he hit up one of the hosts of Hard Factor recently. He was like, you still smoke weed? And yeah, we all smoke weed all day.
Right.
And he was like, I'm about to join you. Because the guy is my same age, and he's burnt the fuck out. He's a conservative, right? Like, when you go to bachelor parties, you know you're not medium. You're not normal.
No.
You go and they're like, hey, Kevin.
Yeah.
What's it like?
But I was close to being that guy. I mean, I was an accountant, dude. I was an accountant.
Yeah, no, I think that you were a confused accountant.
You're right. And that's why I had to get the fuck out of it.
You were at Deloitte.
Yes.
Right, which like, okay, so my father was a consultant, and I know the consultant game. And like
for Deloitte or just in general?
Just general, okay. Anderson, Deloitte, whatever. For those of you guys at home who don't know, they signed 40, and then they cut it to 20, and then they cut it to 10. It's a really impressive place to work. I was watching, I don't know which one of your buddies was at the Barstool Classic the other day, but they were, I guess they were golfing.
Yeah.
And they were telling stories about how where you were at Deloitte, you were blogging, and you couldn't even get on Barstool because it was
blocked.
Right?
Yeah.
But like, that's fucking dope, dude.
Yeah,
like,
that was where the story started to get interesting.
But like, where does that commitment come from? Where it's like, bro, I'm doing this thing. Like, was there a financial burden? Where you're like,
no, I mean, I started
you must have been
blogging,
pulling in like 80 to 90.
I was making 75 out of school.
Nice.
And I was like, but I wasn't going much further because I was bad at it, and I just wanted to have like a creative outlet.
Were you a path guy? You're like, okay, I'm supposed to be on this path. I'm supposed to be on this path. I'm checking the boxes.
I did the MBA. I did the it was accounting, but it was more just like I want to be in the finance.
You're a total path. You're a path
all my
guy.
friends were all my friends are either stock traders, equity guys, whatever. And I was also just like, I'm going to go try to make money. But I quickly realized, like, all right, this path ain't for me. And that's when I was just doing it like out of the love of the game. It really is more like it just kind of fell on my lap, though. I think why it works and why I can just do this be normal thing and I can just talk about my thoughts is because I never was like, I want to be a social media star or internet star.
Of course not.
So then it becomes authentic where it's just like, this guy is just like I am. And he's writing about it. I quickly, the moment I realized that almost like whatever opinion I kind of put out there, there's a lot of people who are agreeing with me. And so a lot of people don't, but there's enough people who are like, yeah, I agree. That I was like, I got confident in my own opinions. Yeah. But it wasn't anything special, and it wasn't ever like, I gotta be a star. I gotta be funny. I kind of think I'm just like an amalgam. I say this. Of course you know movies. Old school. I'm not Frank the Tank. I'm not Vince Vaughn's character. I'm Mitch Martin. I'm in the crew. There's a lot of funny guys I roll with.
Doesn't he bang a teenager?
Yeah, whatever. It is Alicia Cuthbert, so it's good. But yes, it's a teenager. We're not gonna talk about that. But he's kind of like the
accidentally bangs a teenager.
Yeah, he didn't know.
Plausible deniability.
Come on, it can happen to the best of us. But I was like, I'm not the let's go fucking streaking. I'm not going to be the one who stands out, but I'm like, I can tell the jokes and I can fit it.
But for the same reason you landed at Deloitte, for the same reason you were at like a top-tier consulting firm making good cash out of your MBA that you fucking took out loans on, for the same reason that you weren't following that path, instead you were like, I'm going to keep this hand on the wheel and this hand over here is going to fuck around over here because I hate this.
Yes.
And I really want to be doing this.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. Did you feel like you were at your most creative when at that time?
1000%. My first website before Barstool, I think it's probably not my best work because I think I've just like honed myself as a writer and shit like that, but it was for sure my most creative and passionate, and like I was doing it truly for the love of the game. Never planned on trying to work for a website. Barstool totally fell in my lap, and I would there were nights I wouldn't go out because I was like, I want to write this blog for no money, for no reason, for like probably 1,000 readers. People and my friends were like, why? And I was like, because I fucking want to, because I love it, and that's when it's the purest and the realist.
But did you take away like a position in society from that? Was that like satisfying to you in some way, shape, or form? Like, I'm going to write this blog because it's creatively satisfying, but it also solidifies my position as Kevin, the guy that.
I don't think I did that. I don't think I was planning my like persona in a way.
I guess I mean more. Of course, I'm projecting. So I guess what I mean is like when I was a kid, right? Like I never felt adequate because I was like, I had a learning disability. I was ADHD. Like I was a shitty student, and I was from some pretty smart people, and I just couldn't cut it.
Right.
And
a lot of pressure at home.
No, zero pressure, bro. Like my pop dropped acid every day for 5 years. First time I ever dropped acid, I was like, Dad, I dropped acid. It was cool.
How old are you at this point?
Oh, man. 29?
Okay, yeah. I thought you were going to be like 13.
No. A friend of mine is a musician. He was like, bro. He'd been like chipping away at me to drop acid forever. And then finally, his agent was getting married in New Mexico or Santa Fe. And so we were road tripping out there. And he was like, bro, I got some acid. I was like, okay, cool. I'll give it a try. Eyes open. But I called my dad and I was like, Dad, drop some acid. And like I rebelled against drugs. Like I was a drinker because my dad smoked a bunch of dope and did a bunch of acid. I said, I dropped acid. It's cool.
So you rebelled because of that? Like
100%.
You knew he was doing
same
it.
reason I don't read books. Because
you did too much drugs.
Because he read a lot of books. But no, I was like, it's cool, right? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, how often did you do it? And he was like, every day for 5 years.
Crazy.
Right. Anyway, so when I was growing up, like, no pressure whatsoever. But I felt like an outsider. I felt like a freak. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I deserved more than I was getting within the constraints that were in front of me, the system, so to speak. Okay. And I was also a shitty student. So I started a business. And, like, to me, that was, like, my identity. Right. That was, like, my thing. That was like, fuck you. Yeah, go to football practice.
Right.
And I love football. But I was like, fuck you, go to football practice. I have a business over here, assholes. And like that was like my definition of who I was.
Right,
that was a chip on my shoulder. That was my Friday night knockout. That was like 14, 15 years old.
So that's early to be like getting into the real life game and like a. So wait, let's back it up. You're born in Jersey.
Born in
Neptune, right?
Neptune, baby.
Which I know, by the way, because you have a Wikipedia page, bro.
Is that true?
To me, that's high society.
Is it?
I don't have one. I don't think a lot of people here have one.
You want a Wikipedia page? I'll get you a Wikipedia page.
I kind of do. I got enough facts you can put in there. It said Neptune, New Jersey. I was like, shit, he's a Jersey boy. But were you only there for a cup of coffee? Or
I was there for 10 years.
Oh, okay. So you have like...
First 10 years
you got some Jersey,
Oh, my
East
sister
Coast
has a terrible accent.
You know?
She's 7 years older. It's horrible. Like, I totally got out. But
I'd
like,
probably love it.
You put a glass of wine in her, and she's... When Jersey Shore...
I got out. That's great.
When Jersey Shore came out, I was like, oh, fuck. That's supposed to be me.
Yeah.
Like I remember like right before I moved, I remember going to my dad and be like, Dad, I need a chain. And we moved shortly thereafter. But like everyone had a fucking chain. Like I just wanted a.
Would you want the fucking Italian horn or whatever it's called?
No, bro. Just something simple. Not even gold.
Jesus piece.
I had one of those. I got one of those in my fucking baptism. But no, just a silver. Just a silver piece. I hadn't even got my first wife beater yet, but like.
I mean, when Jersey Shore came out, I wasn't in Jersey. I was in Westchester, New York. I mean, I grew up with guys who were just like that. So to me, I was like, oh, those are Guidos, like the hair, the tape up.
Well,
and
do you
the
remember the photo?
And the tan.
And I hope we can cut to the photo. The photo when we were in college, the photo that broke of I think PMT used it recently, but it's like 14 Guidos, and they range from like 12 to 19, and their hair is up here.
Yep. To me, that was normal.
Okay,
not normal.
I was observing that. From like college not from down in the South, and I was like, "What is this trash?"
Okay, when I mean, Jersey Shore was the first thing at Barstool that I think was like a cultural outside of sports. Like we blogged a TV show and we sold Jim Tan laundry shirts.
That's
because it captured America because they were like, it was aliens. They're like, who the fuck? What are these things? And I was like, oh, that's Tommy, that's Frankie. Like I have friends who look and dress that way because that's
who were doing steroids.
Yeah. Steroids, ecstasy, wife beaters, fake tans, the tape-up haircut. The girls look the same.
Dude,
and
steroids is such a hack for people in high school. Like
I'm so mad I didn't do steroids.
Dude,
I'm so mad I don't do them today.
Are you kidding me? Do you know how many dudes I know that did steroids and got full D1 scholarships and then middled? Like,
right, but it's fine. Whatever you get,
why
you
not?
got your free
your
fucking
prostate
ride
can handle it at that age.
Whatever, you got a little acne and shit.
No.
Maybe a little roid rage. Whatever.
Dude, it's a thing. If my kid came to me junior year and was like, Dad, you know I'm like batting 8th in the lineup, but like
I can bat like 4th or 5th if I.
Jerry's got juice.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey man, where do you want to go? And he's like, Ruckus. I would juice him up, bro. Because I'd be like, I would set term limits. I would set term limits for steroid use. I'd be like, 1 year. I don't know how many cycles that is. You maybe do. I got out early. 1 year until the D1 scouts come, and then you're off the stuff.
Right.
But then you fooled them. It's too late.
Yeah. I signed my letter of intent.
Sorry, they're not going to cut the kid because he's losing weight.
Why don't we do HGH right now? What's stopping us from doing
that? I think Billy Football's stopping me from doing that. He keeps coming to me and like, hey, bro, I think something's messed up with my brain.
It's like, yeah, my organs are growing.
No, but I would do HGH. I
think I need HGH. I'm a bag of bones. I got chronic pain. I'm not very healthy. It's natural. I need hormones to make my human body grow.
I'm pretty sure I blew a vein. I went on a jog yesterday.
Oh, wait.
For the first... Dude,
overachiever.
I jogged a quarter mile.
35-year-old jogging.
Dude.
A whole quarter?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
100. Pains, I've never... they always tell you when you get older, like, yeah, man, my body.
Yeah.
And like, you only feel it when you get high. Like, when you get high, you're like, I kind of feel
Now I feel good.
No,
yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
But dude, I went on a jog and it was like, oh shit, my upper body is too fat for my lower body. And now like... And I'm like...
My torso's way too long for my body in general to begin with. I feel like I'm going to tip over.
You got a long torso, too.
Huge torso.
It's hard, bro.
Long torso guys, unless you're like Michael Phelps and a swimmer, it ain't good for you.
Dude, it takes like 4 hands to get around with my thighs. Like 4 full hands. It's a lot, bro. Like,
try.
Like a soft yardstick. It's a lot, bro.
Dude, I'm uncomfortable sitting on this fucking stool right now.
I know. Well, you're old.
We're going to wrap this up, and I'm going to be like, oh, I need like a chiropractor. It's bad. It's bad. So let's do steroids and HGH.
I'm in.
And my kids are going to do it too. Whatever, get a leg up. Let's do it.
Wait until they're 14.
Yeah, until
15.
it matters, and then you're growing, and then we do it, and then we get you a scholarship. Maybe turn pro, and if not, then you just have like some bitch tits and some weird repercussions.
It's
whatever.
an if not. Okay, maybe this is like not a good thing to do because I have a contrary story to this. A buddy of mine, very good friend of mine, who actually works in a major position in sports right now. He did a couple cycles, like more than one. And in college, I remember when you come home on winter break from college, and like everyone goes to the party, and you reunite. We were going in the neighborhood we used to live in. You would park, and then you'd walk through a wooded path to the other neighborhood. And if someone was throwing a rager, we were still under 21, so it was like parked in the other neighborhood, walk through. And my buddy, we're walking through. I've known this guy since I'm like 12. We actually got arrested together when we were 12.
That's the best of friends.
But he's like, I gotta piss. And I'm like, cool, man, go for it. And he's like, no, I need you to wait for me. And I'm like, okay, I'll wait. And then he like can't piss. And I'm like, what's wrong? And he's like, my prostate, bro.
I didn't know it was that bad.
But like, that was like to get a D3.
Right. Wasn't worth it.
Stipend.
Yeah, that's tough.
Right.
This juice has got to be worth the squeeze on that one.
6 feet tall.
Right. So Jersey boy, maybe dabbling in steroids, and then you pick up and go to Texas?
No, Virginia.
So,
okay. My father was at Rutgers and then an IBM, and he got laid off. And then he got a gig at Marymount University in Virginia. So we moved there like right outside of D.C. It's like Northern Virginia.
Got it.
And that was like 10 years, my next 10. That was
Mom in the picture?
Yeah, mi madre, Cece. Yeah. She's a homemaker, wonderful lady. Bronx raised.
Girl.
I couldn't tell you what neighborhood because she came back in like 1979 and was like, I will never go back to the Bronx.
Yeah, it's smart.
Because I guess it was very hood back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mom was around. But
so like as far as stereotypes go, normal family.
No way, bro.
Except for the constant acid.
Weird. I mean, like, look, awesome family. Like, my house was the house that you'd come party at. Like, my house was like the house that the basement.
Not surprising.
The basement was available. It was open. I remember like looking at my dad and being like, I'd be like, Dad, what sports did you play growing up? And he's like, none. And I'm like, why? And he's like, I wanted to read. And I was like, I just remember, I didn't know the word pussy then. I was like, you pussy.
Yeah.
Everything he did, I rebelled against. Because
Right.
like on Saturday, it was like, what do you want to do? I was like, bro, I want to go to the soccer field or the baseball field or Toys R Us. He was like, what about Barnes and Noble?
Yeah, you're like, fuck you.
And he'd be like, you can buy anything you want at Barnes and Noble. It was like very much like my dad trying to engineer a liberal arts major into me.
Got it.
But I just rebelled against it. But like it turned out they were the coolest cats ever and gave me a ton of freedom. And when I was 14, as I was saying, like.
And so what is this business at 14?
It was a record
Music?
label.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was with Hard Factor Will.
Okay.
Right. So like I couldn't play guitar.
Right.
That was my thing. And everyone around me played fucking great guitar. And I just tried. I have like a graveyard of instruments that I've tried to play. It just doesn't work. So I ended up just sitting around. And like PFT started playing shows, and I was just sitting there like, what am I going to do?
You just tried.
I was like, oh, I'll book the fucking shows.
Right.
And then I got super obsessed with record labels. I got into the punk rock scene and the ska music scene. And my freshman year of high school sucked. It was fucking terrible. And my sophomore year, I was just like miserable. And I was like, Dad, can I just take the year off?
Wow, man, in high school.
I want to start this business. I want to start a record label.
Shit.
And he was like, okay, is this something you seriously want to do?
That's crazy. So you're 14, you're 15 in sophomore year?
I was young for my age, so 14.
Okay, 14 years old. That's a big request for a 14-year-old. Like, I mean, 99.9999% of families' fathers say, no, dude.
Perhaps.
You finish school or you do it on the side. It's, you know, it's a little hobby of yours. You're not serious about it.
Right. And for my brother and my sister, that's what they did.
They're older?
Yeah, my brother and my sister are older.
Are you the youngest?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're doctors and they're lawyers. But for me, it was like, my dad was like,
this is great.
my dad was like, no, man, go for it. Like, he'd loan me $1,000 and I got correspondence classes and I took sophomore year off.
I mean, again, sophomore year, college, sure.
High school.
Sophomore year, high school is like, so, you know, you wake up in the morning and you do what? When every other kid's hitting the bus.
Take an Adderall, sneak a cig in the side yard, do my University of Nebraska correspondence classes, and then, dude, like, the world opened up to me in music. So, like, I love film. I've been a filmmaker my whole life.
You can tell because he calls it film.
Film, movies.
Cinema.
Yeah.
The theater.
I'm talking about porn, man.
Yeah.
But like music is like the art that moves me. It fucks me up. It like hits me in a way that no other art hits me.
Yeah.
And I was just obsessed with it. And like I couldn't play. So I just got really into it. And I was always an entrepreneur. You know, like when I was in the 5th, 6th grade, I started selling pornography. Like that was my first business.
Really?
Like I see $1, I'm going after it.
What our friend Za was in Africa bootlegging porn DVDs from America. He had the hookup. I think his brother was in America, would like send porn DVDs back home to the village in Africa, and he would sell it. And he funded his whole life that way.
That's big time.
Big time. What were you doing?
I remember
selling mags.
In the 5th grade, a buddy of mine slipped me a centerfold in the bathroom. It was like maybe like 92 centerfold, like, you know, a hairy centerfold. And I take this thing into the bathroom, as one does. There was sexual pleasure. There was future sexual pleasure being derived from this.
You knew something was cooking.
Well, like, I didn't have the tools to, put the bench together, so to speak. But I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, this is worth $20.
Yeah, you knew the value.
I just knew that someone would pay $20 for this, and like, bam, business was born.
Right.
So from my baseball team, I got to know this guy, Pat Fultz, and Pat was at a different school, and he started bringing at sleepovers a ton of porn in. And also, my dad had some porn.
Yeah, what, he had like the dad dealer or something? How did he get his hand on his porn?
I was the guy. So I would cut up a magazine. That was my thing.
Wow.
Like, so you get a magazine in a Playboy, there's 3 pictorials. So
this guy knows the layout and everything. Wow.
Well, okay, so you have your centerfold.
You are a perv, and that's coming from me.
Or am I sexually liberated? You have a centerfold, that goes for $20, right? And then the pictorials on either side, those are $15.
Yeah.
But you get a mag and you cut it up like drugs. And
yeah, I was going to say, you're just cutting it and flipping it.
Right, so like that kind of fueled my entrepreneurship. Like I remember like...
Porn's always at the forefront of all the business.
Oh, brother. Porn, fireworks.
They are the porn, fireworks, and what?
Well, my dad fucked up one year and like ordered a big-ass box from Phantom. Like a box that we could have never set off. So like I was just pilfing that all day, selling fireworks in the woods. I found some weed, was selling that shit.
It's always in the woods, man.
Oh, dude.
You found some weed.
Well, I'm not going to say where I found the weed. I wasn't smoking the weed, but I knew that this thing was supposed to be sold.
Right.
But no, dude, I had like a hardcore plan. Like if you met me in the woods...
Literally hardcore.
I was... it was some of it was softcore.
Some of it was tasteful.
Yeah. But if you met me in the woods, I wasn't going to get busted.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I'm handing you a mag, I'm handing you a mag with a plan.
Yeah.
Like I'm not just giving you a mag and be like, go have fun, bro.
It always is in the woods, by the way. We used to have Jason Brenner and his brother he was like, come with me. We hopped on our bikes. We rode to the woods, and there was a huge fucking cardboard box.
It's the only place you're safe.
Full of porn. And
you're
I was
free.
Like, and I've said this before, people either grew up in a town where there was a box of porn in the woods, or they didn't. So it's either totally commonplace, like, oh yeah, the box of porn in the woods, or they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? But for us, it was a box of porn, and then that was the same. Like we would party, we would like drink on the golf course, like we'd have woods parties in high school. Some people just
my concern is who's watching that box of porn in the woods, because it's really bait if you think about it.
Right.
Like if
it could have been. It could have been bad.
If porn in the woods stays in the same place for more than like a couple days, that becomes bait. So
big time. If there are guys out there who know young boys are showing up in the woods for their porn,
bro.
Watch out.
Yeah, binoculars exist. Be careful. But yeah, like that was my jam, man. Like
so when the rest of us are just like dabbling. I remember one time too. We went to Ride Playland, the ice rink. It was something called Skating Club. I think it was like every Tuesday night. We'd hop on a cheese bus, yellow bus, would take us, we'd skate, maybe hold hands with a girl. Loved it. Somebody showed up with the Playboy, the Sable Playboy, when she was on the cover from WWF.
Okay.
Which
so
was like,
I wasn't a wrestler. I was a Zap guy.
Okay.
In terms of like American Gladiators, if we're talking about strong women.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, like Sable didn't do it for me.
With the black like handprints over tits.
Whoa.
We all would go in, like we went into the bathroom and we like took turns. Again, nothing like fully sexual, but just like it's my turn to look, and then like I go, oh, your turn.
Well, you're just earning your pube.
Basically, it was like earning your stripes. It was earning your
pubes. Like literally every time
like,
you look, like you get one pube.
Yeah.
No, I know what you're talking about.
But the rest of us are just like, yeah, this is fun or whatever.
It's magical.
Chick. You are like, there's business here. There's coin. There's honest coin money to be made.
I never chased the money.
It's all for the love of the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, bro. Like when I came across the Playboy Celebrity Edition, it was all pictorials, no articles.
Right.
It was a fucking dream. And then when Jerry Springer's Too Hot for TV came out, and I got a dub of that, bro.
God, Girls Gone Wild, all those things.
I was on fire.
Yeah.
I was on fucking fire.
And you're like the go-to guy at this point. People know, the school knows. Like if you hear a rumor from somebody else that there's Jerry Springer, it's like
you never hear the rumor, Kevin, because if I gave it to you, I gave it to you with an alibi. Which is, if your mother finds it, where the fuck did you get it? I found it in the woods.
Found in the woods. I found it. There was one time we got caught drinking. We went to we partied at a family's house that we knew was gone for the weekend. Cops come because the neighbors were like, they're gone. The kids are in the house. Anyway, we get caught, and my buddy's mom said, where'd you get the beer? Because we were young. And we said we found it on the side of the road.
Classic.
It was a 30-pack.
Believable.
And she said, okay, all right.
Yeah.
And at that, I think, obviously, it's funny when you think you're getting away with when you're a kid. You're like, they didn't know I was high. And then it's like, yeah,
they always
did,
know that you're high.
We were like, oh, yeah, she totally believed it. She probably was just like, you fucking idiots, whatever. But yeah, so you had the alibi, you had the business mind, you're slinging pictorials.
Right, anyway, so yeah, that was my entrepreneur shit. So then I got in the record label business, and bro, the world opened up to me. It was super cool. Like the music scene in D.C. was fantastic.
But again, we're talking like 14, 15, 16 years old?
Bro,
Like, are you getting into, like, clubs and gigs?
Absolutely.
As a young teenager, people taking you seriously? Or 100%. People are like, oh, that kid's here again, let him just hang out in the back? Like,
I was massively surprised. There was this band called the Spitfires United, and these guys had day jobs. You could tell because their merch was great.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
The business side of things, right?
Yeah. And, like they were getting synced on Comedy Central and stuff. But they were in their 30s, like, firmly in their 30s. Mm-hmm. And there was another band called The Players, and, like, these guys were great, fantastic musicians, but for whatever reason, they identified something in me where they wanted to work with me. So, like, I was managing this band of 30-year-olds, and then, like, the Spitfires United were like, I went and saw them at the 930 Club opening for the Mighty Mighty Boss Stones, and they were like, hey, bro, we really want to get signed to your record label. And, like, my record label was, like, my website that, like, I was able to get the domain name, but, like...
We're making, like, a GeoCities website?
But it was like GeoCities was a hack, because I had an ad on it, so I could get the full pgrecords.com, but it, like, still had a fucking ad on it.
Yeah.
Like, it was just an email address. It was an AOL email address. It was pgrecords@AOL.com. And the $1,000 my dad loaned me, like, me and Hard Factor Will put together, like, a compilation of punk and ska bands and planned a couple shows, and we were just, like, in the scene. But, like, it wasn't a thing. It was, I thought I was doing my best, but it wasn't a real record label. Mm-hmm. But, like, the way I was perceived by these people that were full-grown adults as like, oh, it's a label. We need to get signed to it. Like that kind of opened.
That's crazy, yeah.
That opened
but
shit
again,
up
these are adults, 30, whatever you said, and they're talking to a kid, effectively a kid who you know your shit, but they are ready to like turn their future over in a way to a kid.
I was amazed by that. Like
this is like a Richie Rich like movie plot. This is some like Little Big Rookie of the Year type shit where it's like, you know, the Disney movie where the kid is playing the adult.
Right. I mean, like, dude, that shit just fucked me up. Like that set me off on a path where I was like, oh, if you build it, they will come. Yeah. Like if you act as if, people will believe that is the case. And like, I wasn't fucking anyone. I was straight up. Like I believed, and I was, if I had all the resources in the world, running a really successful record label.
Right.
But I was 15. Like I hadn't even had a hand job yet.
Right.
Like you know, like I
well, in the music biz. And
no, I know.
A
and
hand job yet?
I mean, it's like pretty important. It's kind of like a rite of passage.
Right.
But like that kind of opened my eyes to like how you can make things happen if you believe that's possible. I guess it's corny as fuck.
No, it's funny. Like the corny shit like that. It's corny until it works.
Right.
And then it's true, real advice where, you know, it's like, yeah, you got to grind every day and, like, you got to do it for the love of the game. These are all the things that, like, that's why it worked for me in the blog world. I don't know if it works for you, but, you know, it's corny, but it worked for me. So, like, and if you kind of think positive thoughts and manifest it and, like...
Dude, I'm a firm believer of the manifesting of destiny. Mm-hmm. Because, like, dude... If you think something's possible, then it's possible. Like Tony Hawk, he did the 900, right? Skateboards changed in the late 1980s. Like 1989, polyurethane wheels came out. So like you have 1989 to I think 1997, he did the 900, correct me if I'm wrong. It's like 9-10 years of the same technology.
Right.
And the same humans.
And talented guys, athletic guys.
Humans didn't evolve in 10 years to be able to, it was just Tony Hawk being like, I can do it.
Right.
And then once he did it, someone did it the next fucking week.
Right. Yeah. It's just like you gotta like break the seal or whatever kind of.
Totally.
You know. So, I think that's one of my shortcomings. I think is, or one of my missteps. I guess I always, with my humor and my content, I'm always very self-deprecating. partly because I like believe it, partly because I'm like afraid of coming off as arrogant or cocky. So I'd always kind of like put myself down or make jokes about myself. And then like a few years later, I was like, you know, I might have like fucked myself here because like I could see that some fans almost believed it a little bit, or I took on this persona. All my teams were losers and like skinny fat. I was making fun of myself, and then I look at like Dan or Dave or someone who was like just always ultra confident, and I was like, you know, I might have A, kind of planted the seed in the fans' brains, and B, maybe in my own brain, I'm like stopping myself. Or
do you really think that?
Kind of. I kind of do. And I part of me, like, if I could go back, I wish that I was maybe a little more like, yo, I'm fucking doing it. Like, I'm a good writer, or like, I'm growing. To this day, I still feel like, you know, I'm, in a way, I think it's relatable. So it's like, you know, he's just like, he's stumbling through life like the rest of us. And part of me, I wish, was like, I am a part owner of a fucking major media company. Why don't I say that more often, you know?
Dude.
But I feel like you never.
Say that shit.
I should. I like, part of me is like, I wish I did back then, but like, there's no better day than today to start it.
No, because the thing is, like, when you get to the place where you could have used it, you don't want to use
exactly.
it. Exactly. Like, every meeting you ever go into, every challenge you ever find, like, everything that is huge to you 5 years ago, when you get there, you're like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be today.
Right.
And that's why it's super important to enjoy the ride. Like, you went on the ride, dog.
Yeah.
You went on the fucking ride. You committed yourself. You stayed focused. You found the right group of people. You not threw away because it worked out, but you turned away from probably what most people would say is this is a better judgment.
Right.
And it worked, right? But like, I imagine that, like, when the Penn deal went through, right, and you have equity, I imagine it felt like it was fucking cool, and you celebrated it, but it also probably felt natural. It was like, okay, this makes sense right now.
Yeah, it was like a slow and steady enough ascension at some point. It was a number, you know, that I never
it took a lot of hard
imagined.
work.
But yeah, it definitely felt like I earned this. But I also don't know if, you know, the public maybe perceives it the same way. But it sounds like you kind of were that way from Jump Street, where it's like, I'm going to do this. I'm doing it right. People, like, I believe in myself. They're believing in me. And whether it's something as silly as, like, selling porn or now getting into the music game.
It's not silly, Kevin.
And
it's important. It's important.
Listen, your porn was kind of like our T-shirts. When we're slinging dumb T-shirts, people always kind of laughed at that. I was like, bro.
Yeah, we both didn't own the copyrights to it.
Nothing quite like selling illegal shit, man.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it feels like that is almost as important as having the goods or the brain or the
maybe, man. Like, you know, like, I'm not a super confident dude, as I was saying. Like, you know,
I mean, I cannot disagree more.
Oh, bro, I have so much.
Or maybe, you know, internally fine,
I have
but
so
what
much
you
self-doubt.
put forward does not 1 ounce of you reeks of like self-doubt. So maybe you mask that well, or maybe it just comes out differently. Maybe you go home at night and you're fucking shaken with nerves, but like the reason why I did this is like you grasped me more than almost anybody else who's walked through the door in the past
thanks,
like
bro.
5-6 years, where it was like, this guy can talk the talk, he's walking the walk, he's interesting, he's unique, and we'll talk about it in a minute. This movie shit that you're involved in, it's like one of a kind. So it's just crazy. I mean, the confidence and, like I said, that like personality dysmorphia, it's like so many people, I can see it in you, and I think it's fucking crazy that you don't feel it, but you're probably saying the same thing about me, and we can all say that about each other, where it's like, no, man, you're killing it. It takes a lot to actually, I guess, really internalize that and feel that.
I'm surrounded by people that are better than me. Like that's my number one thing. Like, I'm surrounded by, like, dude, if I look at like the talent pool I came from and like the people around me, like if I find success, I can look at my neighbor. And when I say my neighbor, I mean like my brothers, like my best friends, like people who are my blood, but not actually my blood. They're more successful, right? And it's like of course you have self-doubt. Of course.
Yeah, there's always somebody bigger, better,
100%.
whatever.
But I guess what I'm saying is, like, blind self-confidence doesn't lead you to success, in my opinion. Right? It's a drive.
Right.
I'm assuming you felt the same way.
No, absolutely. I don't think it's everything, but I think, you know, and maybe characterizing it as blind self-confidence, but really believing in yourself and knowing that I think it's one thing to know you got the goods, but it's another thing to, like, say that or admit that, or when talked to, you're like, yeah, I can fucking do this, you know?
Yeah, totally.
We always tend to just be like, I don't know why anybody listens to this podcast, but we're happy you do. And on the inside, I kind of know why, and I know that we're doing a good thing.
But can I tell you something that you may or may not know? So, like, I wasn't a Barstool guy. Not at all.
Right.
By no means was I a Barstool. I didn't even know about Barstool. PFT got hired at Barstool. I remember we were doing PFT and I started doing a radio show when we were like 12 on a fucking tape recorder. And then we did it all throughout college. And then when I pussied out and went into the fucking back end of the business, PFT kept writing. And he got this job at Barstool. He's like, this is his company. It's called Barstool. I think I'm going to take a gig there. And I was like, cool, what is it? And he's like, I don't know. It's like alternative. It's new. It's sports media. And I was like, dude, I don't know. And like, I followed PMT, but like, I didn't know what Barstool was. And then like, when I discovered your pod and some of the other work here, I was like, oh, Kevin and Fights are like, they're like me. They're like my dudes.
Right,
so
right.
And you guys do it in a great fucking way. And also you earned it, man. Like, I'm sure, how many episodes of your pod have you done?
Oh, man, it's got to be into
a silly amount where it feels fucking stupid when you sit down there.
Right.
But when I woke up this morning, I couldn't fucking sleep. I didn't wake up. This morning, when I was walking around Queens, I was listening to your newest pod, and I was like, oh, these guys are good. They're fucking great. They make me feel chill. They make me feel at ease. Like, I was listening to you guys talk about Spotify, and I was like, I know this subject already, because, it's our fucking gig. But I was like, I'm hanging out with my bros.
Yeah. But see, that's where I get down on myself again, in a way. Like, I don't characterize that as talent.
That's 100% talent,
I know,
bro.
I mean, it is. I would say that about someone else, but when I'm doing it, I think I'm just talking to my buddy, and I'm just giving my opinions.
It's a
and
show,
I acknowledge
dude.
that
It's
I
a
can
fucking
talk
It's
enough,
a fucking
but
show. It's a fucking show. It's a show that you've spent your whole life honing.
But you understand the difference, I feel like, between something like just talking and chopping it up, and there is talent there, versus music, versus movies, where there's like, I am an actor, I am a singer,
We are in the world of dog shit, talentless hacks like you and I, who can like for some reason have a fucking voice. Yeah, what are we? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
So like you want it to be. It's almost like this was plan B, because if you had your way, you'd be shredding a guitar and singing and front-facing, and instead you're like, okay, I will do this other thing. I'm talented in that regard, but I don't have like the talent that comes from the old media. At least maybe in 20, 50, 100 years, people will be like, wow, if you're a podcaster, you're the rock star. But right now, it's kind of like, almost a plan B or C or D.
Perhaps. I mean, for me, it was like very specifically like music took a left for me, because like I just can't do that thing. Right. But I can act, and I can write, and I can direct, and I can fuck with that shit. And like for me, it was just a bummer that like my crew found music first.
Right.
So it was like,
yeah.
Remember when we were doing improv classes and like fucking like theater, and we were writing little sketches. Like, oh, you guys are gonna go play music now.
Right. I'll go.
Well, I love that art, and when I watch you do that art, it like moves me emotionally. So fuck it, dude. Like, I'll throw my business acumen behind that shit. I will back you up, and it put me in a position where I became the supporter of art. And like that took away from me being an expressive artist myself. Like, dude, I've been a talent manager for 15 years.
That takes away from a little bit of
and a movie producer for 15 years. Like, I've been dealing with actors. They are the fucking worst people on the planet. I've been dealing with musicians in the most insane circumstances. Yeah. You couldn't believe it.
The divas and the egos.
And it's drug addiction. Yeah. And it's like, dude, I fucking like, maybe 3 years ago, I had a band have a sold out tour. And like building a band from 100 tickets, 150 tickets, 200 tickets, to where they're selling 1,000 tickets across the country. And I had a band that I did that with, like from like 0 tickets.
Right.
Like every step of the way. It was 3 of us. There was 2 people in the band, and then me, their manager. We were a 3-person team. We built that shit the fuck up. And I put my credit on the line, my money on the line. When you're the manager, you pay for shit.
Right.
There's no bank. Record labels
don't really... the bank,
Yeah, record labels don't really exist anymore.
Right.
If you're an indie band, like, hopefully your manager's got a good credit card. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
Still my fucking debt, but it's a sick joke that I had no limit. So, like, I'm racking up debt. We're building this thing, and we hit it. Like, it works. We're selling out 1,000 cap rooms all over the fucking country. And I'm fired up, bro. I'm working 16 hours a day.
Right.
I'm fronting the cash for the tour bus.
Is this your only act at this point, or are you juggling other shit?
They're my numero uno act.
Yeah.
I have 2 or 3 others.
Right.
A wise man in the music business once told me, you have 3. 3 pays the bills.
Okay.
Never more than 3.
Never more, never less.
Yeah. But it was a big thing for me, man. Like, it was something I worked on since I'm 14. I'm like, I think 29 at the time. And...
Jeez. It's a lifetime worth.
It's a lot, man, and the fucking tour sold out. And like, it's awesome, bro. It's like you're getting late night calls.
Yeah.
Where like, oh, which is like so different. Like when I picked this band up, it was always me pushing. And I watched colleagues of mine get pulled. And getting pulled.
First time you get pulled is
and pushing is two fucking very different things.
Yeah.
I'm having to sell every goddamn step of the way.
Right.
Trust me. You don't see it now, but it's there. Trust me. There's
You're
something
hustling,
here.
you're slick.
Trust me. I'm leveraging connections in a way that I can't even fucking really express. Like, you call me up, like, you talk about politics, I'm a fucking politician.
Right.
I'm at your mother's house. I am eating her ziti. I am hanging out with her. I am mowing your fucking lawn. I am, like, making a connection with your third cousin who knows my third cousin. I'm watching you do cocaine and not doing cocaine. Because if you do cocaine in front of me, I gotcha.
Yeah, right.
I fucking gotcha.
Right.
Sold out tour. We come to New York. I think we were doing, I forget which late night show. Before they left for the tour, this is the first tour bus tour, one of the guys in the band, great guy, grew up, same place I grew up. Dad, very prolific in the sports industry. We both happened to be Washington Football Club fans. We bonded over that shit. I had my assistant kind of handling the logistics of the tour, like equipment rental, all that stuff. I'm flying to, like, when you're a manager, by the way, I live in Austin, Texas. You go to New York, you go to LA, you go to Nashville. You go to where the major markets are.
Right.
I'm better at my desk than hungover on the road.
Right.
So, like, you know, you fly out, you fly home.
Right.
I'm flying out to New York, sold out show. I get a phone call from my assistant, and I'm like, hey, man, did you rent some equipment from these other local musicians before the tour? I'm like, I didn't rent. Did you rent? That would have been your gig. He's like, no, I didn't rent. And this guy just called me, and he said that the bass player and the drummer of the band that I'm talking about showed up at their house, these local musicians, these guys that, like, are living vicariously through the band I'm managing, that they're on the big fucking tour from their hometown.
Right.
These guys, this bassist, the drummer, they show up at these local guy's house in Austin before the tour starts and goes, hey, Pat Cassidy said we wanted to rent your bass amp and your guitar amp. And of course the guy's like,
Sure.
There's no money in music. So they're like, oh, take it, bro, take it for free. They're honored to send their gear on a sold-out tour with the hometown heroes.
Right.
We had a photographer on that tour, so, like, tons of social media. I guess the guy who gave the gear to the people in my band were kind of keeping an eye on the social media, and they didn't see their amps on the stage. Show after show after show after show after show. This is like 14 shows, 15 shows in. I'm flying to New York. The guy calls my assistant. He's like, I think these guys stole my gear. The guys in my band. So I call the guy, and I'm like, hey, man, what happened? And he's like, your dudes came over and said that you asked for my amps before they went on tour, and these guys they're fucking drug addicts. They took the shit. They pawned it.
Yeah.
I show up the night we're doing late night, and instead of enjoying the ride, instead of, like, fucking hanging out and being like, bro,
we did it. We made it. Like,
dude, 100 hours a week for $4 a fucking hour.
Yeah.
Instead, I gotta, like, take a picture of this guy holding up his fucking license in the pawn slip.
Grind.
And he's my same age.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, like, fuck you.
Right.
So I did that for 15 years. Instead of doing what you did, which is create, right? So, like, I stepped behind the scenes, and it sucks, man.
Yeah.
But I love part of it.
Yeah, you love, like, well, you love that moment if it wasn't ruined by the bullshit side of it.
Maybe, but I was too afraid to go do. Like, I was too afraid to be like, oh, man, like, go to LA, do my thing, write my show.
Right. So then, when does the pivot to movies happen?
I've always fucked with movies, man. My father was in film school. He went to Cal Arts and USC. My family's in the business. So, like, not in the business where I got helped out, but my family, like, were...
You know it. It's kind of osmosis almost, maybe, like a secondhand
I guess the best way to explain it is, like, my family was like Bieber in the 70s.
Okay.
So, like, the Partridge Family, are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
That's my family.
Okay.
So the mother in the Partridge Family, the promiscuous grandma from Grandma's Boy is my great aunt. David Cassidy is my dad's first cousin. We always had this dream, and, like, my dad was kind of like, you know, he wanted to try to do his acting thing, it didn't work out. He wanted to try to do his filmmaker thing, it didn't work out. So, like, we always had that in the house. And my brother was a hardcore filmmaker, and, like, when I was a kid, it was like he gave us a camera, we wanted it made, right? And I just got really into it. And then right before I moved to Austin with all the Hard Factor guys, I'd made a short film, horror film. Sony bought it, which doesn't happen with short films. We kind of hacked it.
And what?
We cast the daughter of one of the marketing heads at Sony.
There you go. Yeah.
But they bought it, right? It was a good movie. Anyway, we got...
Good money, big money, just enough to keep
Zero
the lights
money.
on?
No. I mean, I was waiting tables, and I threw like $4,000 into the movie. Like I saved up $4,000 waiting tables, threw it in the movie as an EP. I made it back, maybe, probably not. But it allowed us to make another movie. So I made my first feature film right after I moved to Austin. I just kept doing it, man. Like I love cinema.
So that's all relatively recent, though, right?
I mean, I guess I made my first movie in 2009.
Okay, all right. So that's I wasn't sure. But, like, all right. So 10 years in of making. You're making your
shitty
films,
independent films.
Right.
Some of them are not
and
shitty.
you're what? That means you're writing it, you're directing it. Are you ever in front of the camera? Are you?
No, Kevin, I told you I'm a pussy, man. I'm
You
producing
can't-
it.
you're
I'm
never-
producing
you're
it,
never
bro.
in front, but
I'm
now-
organizing it. I'm organizing it.
Okay, we're gonna put a pin in that. We're gonna come back to that. Then this leads to what jumped out at me, and the reason why I was like, we gotta have your front end of pints, and then ultimately doing this Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing. You are the producer of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
In fact, I am.
One of the, in the Mount Rushmore, in the pantheon of horror stories, villains.
It's one of the big four, baby. One of the big four.
Yeah, I mean that's one of them. How is that not already a role that somebody had?
So Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the only independently owned horror franchise.
Meaning, well, so like Jason and Freddy and all them are owned by Warner Brothers or Universal or whatever.
Exactly.
So Kim?
Kim.
So he wrote it, he created it, and he never sold it out to anybody. Is that what that means?
100.
And I have to imagine that's leaving a ton of money on the table, or he made his money more so because he stayed independent.
No, Kim got fucked, bro. Like, okay, so you went on the ride a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what were you making when you first started at Barstool?
50
dollars a day?
No, 50 grand. No, you know what, Dave? Actually, when we first started,
He didn't go on the fucking ride.
It was no.
Excuse me.
When it first started, it was 25 grand. It was 25 grand.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Right. But
Because it was 50 and we had to split it, but we didn't actually split the work. We were doing the full work. So I was making 25 grand. I was smart and I kept my other job.
100.
So I was actually making more money. So I didn't go on the ride you're talking about.
But now you have equity.
Yeah.
You may be worth-ish $1 million. Ish. Eventually.
Yes. I was going to say, down the road, yes.
You're
right
going to make your
now,
cash.
whatever. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, okay. So like,
You asshole. You're making me look like a dick.
I think that's what I make now. Yeah. 50. Oh, it's tough. No. He went on the ride, man. Like, they made a movie, 1973, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's one of the most successful films, independent films ever made. It was banned in a lot of countries.
It's the best thing that can happen, I feel like.
You'd think that. Their distributors were pornographers. Not that that's a bad thing. I was
going to say, as
I got
we learned,
respect. But, okay, there's a company called Bryanston. And
As a matter of fact, you are. I mean, you are a producer who is a pornographer.
Bro, I'm a distributor. It's very different. It's very different.
I'm a street pharmacist, man. I'm not a dealer.
Man.
I'm a distributor, not a pornographer.
But no, Bryanston did Deep Throat.
Ah.
Did you ever see that movie?
I know. I know of it. I didn't.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, they got out of pornos. They went into legit. They bought Enter the Dragon and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Smart.
And then they fucked the filmmakers in the ass for like 30 years.
Wow.
But Kim, he's a hardcore businessman, and he held on to his fucking property. Mm-hmm. And the rights reverted in 2017. And his son is one of my best buddies, one of the first guys I ever met in Austin. And I'd made a couple movies for Kim.
So you buy that from him, or he's
No.
he's happy to like?
I'm just a curator of it. So like,
right.
I manage the rights. So like, I'm producing the new movie. I'm producing all sorts of different, any licensing, merchandising, television, anything related to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right. And like, so now you're doing this remake, right? That is
technically it's a boot.
Yeah, because you're getting back to the basics.
Throw the rest away, bro.
Because that's what happens with these. There's such a great story in the beginning, or such a great villain and character, and then it gets like bastardized because you got to remake it 25 times,
right?
And you got to do the reboots, the remakes with the new casts and the modern kids and all that shit. And there's always a new generation that loves it, but it always loses a little bit of its luster every time. So now you're trying to get back to the beginning.
Trying to get back to the roots, bro.
Yeah.
Trying to get.
And is there a new like storyline on it, or you're literally like we're going back to just like the way it was to kind of reintroduce that to the world again, or like what can we expect in this new version?
You guys got 90 minutes?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the whole pitch. No, I can't really talk about it right now. You'll see when it comes out.
Right.
But yeah, man, essentially
I mean, that's going to be a blockbuster smash. You're going to get rich off this, right?
Well, not rich like you, KFC.
You're going to get rich if you have... If this goes like, big blockbuster, big box office.
If we have theaters.
You're rich, baby.
If we have fucking theaters.
Well, I would... I don't put it out now.
No, dude. But like, probably like October next year, it'll be out.
Okay.
Look, man, if I see money it's a long time coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't even tell you how many days I worked for $0 or like fucking, same way you did. You chase your passion, man.
Yeah.
You do it because you love to do it.
Right.
I wouldn't have gone in the music business if I wanted money. Don't ever go into the music business. Put your kids on a cycle of steroids. Send them to D1 college. It's going to work out better for them.
Honestly, it will. I mean, when I first did the radio in college, I was making, it was like, I got paid like $300 for the summer.
They paid you to do radio in college?
For a summer job.
Hold on.
It was a summer job, though.
WXJM.
WFUV, brother, over here. I got paid $300 for the whole summer.
That's public radio. That's other people's money, Kevin.
Whatever, baby. Listen.
WXJM in Harrisonburg was not, dude, me and PFT were fucking doing like the midnight, like not even the midnight shift, the 2 to 4 shift.
Yeah, we did get lucky because Fordham was like right near New York City. You could cover like real teams and shit. But I remember like, I was like, listen, $300 in a summer is not going to cut it. And at that point, it was before the internet and everything. They were like, you maybe work in this industry for like 15, fucking 20 years. Then maybe the sitting host retires, and maybe you're the anointed one who takes over.
But you worked it out,
maybe
bro.
not. But I was like, that's not for me. But it all kind of came back around in a way that like now the internet came along, and now there's not the same barriers of entry. But I do have a little bit of the skills, and I feel like that's kind of what's happening here, whether it's music or fucking pornography cutouts or whatever.
That was a story from my youth. Wait, can we not like fold that into my bio?
That's the whole bio, man. That's how the headline's going to be. But all those things
I
add
swear
up.
to God, if this shows up on my Wikipedia page,
We're going to edit that shit right now.
Dude, you think that I'm banned from Wikipedia for life? Those dudes are hard.
What does that mean?
Bro, do not fuck around on Wikipedia, bro.
You can't.
What
did you alter? What did you change?
I didn't even do anything fucked up. I uploaded a photo of one of my bands that was in Wikipedia Commons. That Wikipedia, bro, is like it's run like a lockdown.
See, that's why
prison.
When professors are like, well, no, you can't count on Wikipedia. It's like, yes, you fucking can.
100%.
If you change something, it gets fucking fixed and apparently punished immediately.
I've tried to get my band removed, and you know what I'm required to do to make that happen? I'm required to meet with a super user in person.
Super user?
I've been trying to schedule this for fucking years. Just because, like, when I'm on Wiki, like...
That sounds like you're going to talk to, like, an artificial intelligence,
no, it's a dude.
Something. Like,
it's a dude or a lady. I love to keep Wikipedia up to date.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Community thought is really important. I'm not allowed.
That's fucking funny.
I'm not allowed. And it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Dude, I've made like 14 fucking appeals.
Wikipedia, if you're watching, free this man.
It's not that. It's
Free
the fucking
Pat.
super users in Germany, and I'll come have coffee with you, but I am who I fucking say I am, you asshole. And I'm not part... I never sock puppeted, you piece of shit. It's fucking harder to get into than well.
I mean, that's a good thing. That means
I agree, bro. But
you had to be the victim that made me
Kevin,
understand this.
Unjust. It's unjust. It's unjust. And I fucking fought. I've gone back. I've laid my case out very succinctly, very well thought out.
The most passionate it's been so far.
Dude, I care about Wikipedia, man.
Yeah. The internet, dude, it's a great place. It's the worst place. It's a great place. So, and then that's the other part. We can't not talk about Hard Factor and the job here. So you're best friends with PFT since what, like childhood?
Like 12, like pre-pubes.
Right. So when you were getting your pubes, when you were watching porn, like bing, one, bing, two.
Yeah.
PFT comes along.
A lot of nights, a lot of Saturday nights on Skinamax before I got a full head of hair.
The best, man.
I'm such a dog shit piece of shit. I'm sorry. There's a woman in the room. I'm sorry.
She doesn't count. Jackie's fine. So PFT gets the gig. You kind of learn what Barstool is. You're doing music, transitioning into movies.
So I've been doing sketch comedy with PFT for a long time.
Right.
And the Hard Factor guys. Yeah.
So you keep saying how you were like a pussy and you're not in front of the camera, but like you're still writing, you still are doing the creative shit.
I'm trying.
And now you're here doing it. I mean, you're in front of the cameras right now.
I couldn't be happier about where I am. And I couldn't be happier I got here at 35. Mm-hmm. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like every time that I lost or didn't have the self-confidence to like be like, fuck it, dude, I'm moving to LA and I'm writing. I'm good enough to write. I'm good enough to, more importantly, hone my craft. That's the big thing. It's like,
get better at it.
You can't just wake up one day and be like, I'm good enough and get a gig.
Right.
It's more like, this is worth my time to pursue this art and hone this thing. Because it does take 10,000 hours.
And that's we talked about corny advice that's real. I mean, I absolutely believe in 10,000 hours type shit, and I definitely believe in like there's no such thing as failure, only like learning, only lessons.
Oh, there's 100% fit.
But there's
it's
failure,
called debt, Kevin.
But there are some catastrophic mistakes, no doubt. I've learned that, but I so many things, like I said, from the like radio that I was like, you know what, not good for me. I'm going to go do this business thing, and then all of a sudden, podcasts come along, and I'm like, I kind of done this a little bit. I've already been in front of a mic, and I've already got some of the skills. And like 1 Minute Man, I tried to do these videos.
I love 1
Minute
Man.
It didn't work at the time, and then all of a sudden, Gaz calls me one day and says like, hey, the algorithm's changing. We need some original content. Can you do this? And I was like, yes, I can. But I would have called that a failure. I would have been like, oh, I tried to do these videos. It never worked. The fans didn't really like it. So fuck it, that was a failure. Until I rebooted it, and now it's working. And it's like, oh shit, it was a failure in the moment. And at the end, it ended up being a first take or a lesson or a rough draft or whatever. I'm so hippy-dippy on that right now because I think the one thing about my Barstool path has always been, like, Dave is just the owner and the founder, and he's always just going to be like, there is no failure for Dave because it's just like he does, and that is Barstool, And then Dan and PFT had like this meteoric thing with PMT that's just like boom, you're set. And me and John are always kind of like, well, we got to try. KFC's good, KFC Radio is good, and it's successful, but like not that level. So we got to try this, so we got to try that. And how about this video and that video and this thing? And some of them get picked up, some of them don't. Some of them settle, some of them don't. And there were a lot of times I was like, man, I'm taking a lot of like L's here, and then eventually it all comes back around. And it's like, now it's working in this form or this iteration or whatever.
Is there an answer to the internet around here?
Yeah, even things like that, though. It's like when we...
What do you mean even things like that, you fucking asshole?
Like
you have a fucking card game in Target, you dickhead.
I know, but there was a time...
And you should have gotten fucking canceled for it, but you didn't, and it worked out. Dope. Fucking dope, bro.
But there was a time where I never thought that was going to be possible, and we were doing things... We were making other videos...
Did you sleep well that night when that happened? You must have slept well that night.
Yeah. So there's some good nights to sleep now.
Talent, man.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm learning.
That's
what I'm learning now.
Hey, you know what'd be fucking dope? If I put this human, right? You're using your environment. You're like, okay, they're going to come into Barstool because they don't know what it is, but they know there's an audience.
Right.
They know that like their publicist says, I got to do it. And then you bring them in, and guess what? You probably, of any one of the big shows here, make them feel comfortable. So we're like, hey, you want to pop over to the green screen next door?
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. We're going to fucking ask you some questions, no big deal.
Right. And then can I hand you some fucking Cards Against Humanity level questions? Yeah. They got canceled. You guys dodged it.
I don't know how.
Genius. But bro, like that's talent.
Yeah.
That's talent. Applying your circumstance, right, and your wit, and how clever you are, and your social skills, and put it all together, man.
I love watching it come together, and I see it in
Plus,
everything you just described
too.
Yeah, I mean that's always a nice little.
Can we get a higher brow there? I would love to see some the Canadian wave of comedians that came through the late 70s, 80s, like the Eugene Levy's, like the Martin Shorts. Can we get them in for Answer the Internet? A throwback?
Oh, if I could get Eugene Levy in here to do a little fucking Answer the Internet.
I bet we could.
I would. Well, I've been trying to get Schitt's Creek people in, and they keep rebuffing our offers. But one day we're going to knock them down. One day we're going to get them down. Because I think, there's probably some reputational issues at the moment with that.
What did we realize, man, in this conversation is if you will it, it will fucking happen.
It really will. It's so corny, but it's so real.
I walked into a meeting 2 years ago with Brian Grazer, who's one of the biggest producers in the fucking planet. And I love producing. I'd rather be a comedian. But my producing boner was through the goddamn roof. Mm. And I'm walking into a Brian Grazer meeting. This guy's a legend. He's Ron Howard's partner.
Oh, shit.
And I'm not freaked out. I'm cool. Now, I started going to Hollywood 10 years earlier selling my shitty horror films, and I was beating the fucking door down. Mm-hmm. Now I'm walking into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they're opening the door.
Yeah.
Same meeting.
Right.
But when I'm walking in, I'm like, this feels right.
I can do this, yeah.
This feels right.
It's Costanza doing Frogger.
Don't get me wrong.
I can do this.
I popped an Adderall, and I smoked a cig in the parking lot, and I chugged a Starbucks.
PEDs, yeah.
100, bro.
You could have walked into any meeting. You were feeling good.
Right. But I guess my point is, to anyone that's watching this or listening that has a dream or wants to do some shit, it's you work fucking hard at it, and then the thing happens.
Yeah.
It just
it's
happens.
It's a long road.
If you keep hustling, it happens. And when you get to that thing, it's this feels right.
So
true,
you
walk in, you crush the Grazer meeting, you walk out with a fucking offer. You know the only person that did not make an offer on Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Who's that?
Chernin.
Really? You dumb motherfuckers! What's wrong with you?
Sorry.
Man.
13 offers, bro.
Shit.
Chernin was the only one that
Pete, Uncle Pete, what's wrong with you?
Well,
bud?
like, I had just gotten hired at Barstool.
Yeah.
So I'm like in the room and I'm like, hey, you're kind of my boss.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this shit.
Well, listen, that's their loss, bro.
Maybe like 6 months ago during quarantine, I took a heavy edible. And I know we're not supposed to talk about weed because we're a gambling company.
No, it's okay. We can do that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, as long as you're not talking about it in conjunction with gambling. You can't be like, I took a heavy edible and then I bet on
Because
blah,
I
blah, blah.
fucking love weed. And
Yeah,
you know who
no,
I
we
miss?
talk all
Is
the
Buddha
time.
Ben. I miss that motherfucker.
Yeah, he's a good...
We went out to High
in
Times
that
Cannabis
world.
Cup. Oh my God, it's a delight.
Yeah.
But I took a major edible and I had like an existential moment. And I was sitting there thinking like, how do I apply myself at Barstool? Who am I here? How do I win here? And not win to win. Again, I'm never chasing the dollar. It's not about that. But like, how do I put myself in a position where I can create the art that I want to? And I was like, okay, I don't know Dave from Adam. You know, we've never really met. We've talked a couple times, whatever. But like, you know, he does his pods and he does his pod with Eddie, which is fucking awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
But like everyone texts and calls Dave. I don't know Dave. Like,
Right.
you know, PFT's my boy, so like it's kind of out of the question.
Right.
You know, we're like, we keep it pro.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, who knows this shit? I'm like, Kevin. And I wanted to ask you a super high. But I was like, it clicked for me. I was like, how much of this is a game and how much of this is art? Like how much of...
It's a great question.
How much of this, like, because you play the game very well. You know, and sometimes like on my show on Hard Factor, I'll go political.
Right.
And I'm like, that was fucking dumb, bro. I should have just tried to be funny.
Yeah.
Why did I get passionate? Or like sometimes like
Don't ever apologize for that, because there are times where we're doing the same old dick jokes, and I'm like, I'd love to talk about maybe some real shit going on. I'd love to talk about politics or the election or whatever.
Right, but I mean, like sometimes I choose a path that's not the best for entertainment, and I always catch myself, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is like not the thing I should be doing. Then I thought about you, and I was like, man, you do it the right way. You walk the balance.
Try. I'm happy to hear that, especially from someone like yourself, who I
Well,
clearly
it's very
value your
high.
opinion.
I told you I was very high.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's a speak sober thoughts type thing. We'll go with that.
Yeah, but like, how much of what you do is calculated?
At this point, probably a little bit more, but for the longest time, I would just kind of let it fly. My thing was always whatever ceiling I might put on myself from maybe being too controversial, or maybe, like, there are people who kind of play the game here a lot, and they make sure I'm not going to alienate anybody, you know? I'm like, I would rather be myself, be passionate, say some shit, and maybe I lose some fans over it, maybe I alienate some people, because, all right, let's say that I put a ceiling on myself here by losing a couple fans from being polarizing. It's still a higher ceiling than if I was not authentic.
That's really interesting.
So, like, I feel like if I was not myself, if I tried to play that game of, like, I just want everybody to like me, I would end up here. And if I'm myself and I lose some fans, it'll still end up actually here. Because the people who do still fuck with me, there's more of that. It's a little jumbled up, but I feel like...
I think that answered the question.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck the haters.
Yeah, oh, big time. And I got a lot of those. I don't like to say fuck the haters in the sense of, like, I don't see it, I don't read it, you don't get to me. It gets to me, it bothers me, it hurts, I wish it wasn't the way, but I'll never let them change what I do. That's my main thing. As long as you keep doing what you do and not let them actually change your course, then I think that's like fuck the haters. I wish everybody liked me. I wish everyone said that was fucking awesome, that was funny, we like you, we love you, that'd be amazing. But... that's not the case, but the moment you say, like, oh, they didn't like that video or that blog, so I'm going to change to cater to that.
No, fuck that.
Then you're fucked.
Well, you know, Kevin, you got a big heart.
The biggest. And you are a unique cat, my friend.
Oh, bro, it was a slap in the face.
Listen, we both got slapped in the face in high school, and now we're slapping faces at 35. Okay?
Yeah, bro.
So I appreciate it, man. This was awesome stuff. And I'm sure that was the tip of the fucking iceberg.
That was a ramble. I'm sorry if that was too much of a ramble,
that was
bro.
Perfecto. And
Yeah, was that
I
okay?
think there's a round 2 coming soon, bro.
Was that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Go crush that election, babe, or that debate. You know?
Yeah.
Get into it. I think we talked about every single thing in Pat's life. Nothing we left out.
Comes to the Barstool baby. Pat, you are the fuck.
Oh, hell yeah, Maury. Come on, Maury. Put some respect on my name, Maury. Put some respect on my name, Maury.